Hi, it's Vex, and today we have a special video because today we want to ask the viewers which commander should I choose. On our left, we have Athreos, God of Passage, and on our right has a brand new commander from Dominaria United, Elas il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, and they're going to battle it out to be my Orzhov commander. As you may know or may not know, I'm building a deck for every color combination out there. So there's only going to be one Orzhov commander. So I get my existing deck, Athreos, or I'm going to use my new deck, Elas il-Kor. So they are both in the same vein, right? Elas il-Kor is more of the Aristocrat styles. You sack creatures and such. I'll get to that. And then Athreos is more Shadowborn Apostle style with a bunch of these Shadowborn Apostles. Before we go deep into the details of each deck, let's actually see what each of these commanders does. This Athreos is a secret layer. It's hard to read, so I will use this Athreos, which is much easier to read. And it's from the Journey of the Nyx, the Athreos block. 1 white, black, legendary enchantment creature god. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature, so it's just an enchantment. Then whenever another creature you own dies, return to your hand unless target opponent plays 3 life. So this is all about basically, having your creatures die, asking your opponent, do you pay the 3? Most likely they will in the beginning of the game. Towards the end of the game, they stop paying the 3, you get your creatures back, and you sack them again, get them back, sack them again, get them back. You see how the deal goes. Now, Elas il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, let's read this. A white and black, legendary creature, Phyrexian Core Cleric, Death Touch. Okay, so it can kill whatever it blocks, mostly. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. It's really cool. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So, Elas will do 3 damage if you have 3 opponents when a creature dies. Athreos gives you a choice of taking 3, which is almost as similar, to 1 opponent, or putting a creature, like the Shadowborn Apostle, back to your hand. Let's go nitty-gritty of each deck and why I like this deck and why I like this deck, and let's see who wins. And then, you know what? You're going to determine who wins by placing your votes down below in the comments. The first deck, Athreos, God of Passes, move this Elas il-Kor out of the way, is basically a Shadowborn Apostles deck. Let's put Athreos right there, double Athreos in the corner. And I got this from watching the Command Zone podcast, of course, and seeing Josh's Athreos deck back in the day. It looked really, really cool. So we have 30 Shadowborn Apostles right there. You're like, whoa, this is a singleton format. How'd that happen? Well, let's read Shadowborn Apostle. This is the main theme of the deck, is this guy right here. For 1 black, a deck can have any number of cards named Shadowborn Apostle. So this bypasses the EDH, singleton rules by allowing you to have a bunch of these. Okay, pay 1 black, sacrifice 6 creatures named Shadowborn Apostle. So you need 6 of them, obviously. That's why I have 30. Search your library for a demon card, put it to the battlefield, and shuffle. So we want a bunch of these, sack 6 of them, and then tutor up for one of our cool demons right there. So this is a human cleric, demon, tribal. So we have 8 demons, because it takes 6 of these to get a demon, and I only have 30, so you can only do it 5 times if you have all 30. But I digress. You get these cool little demons, and then based on the situation, if you have Athreos on board, you sack 6 of these right there. You present your opponent with an 18 life question. For each one of these, do you give me 3 life or the creature back? And they're very easy to recast because it costs 1 black, of course. Then, at the beginning of the game, they say no. But towards the end of the game, they have no choice because they're so low. Give you these back, sack them again, ask the question again, get more demons. You see how the loop goes. And there's some powerful demons, right, that you tutor up. Archfiend of Despair, Razakath, Vilis. I won't read exactly what they do. This one, summary. This one tutors, draws a bunch of cards. This one, does a bunch of damage. This one's also a demonic tutor. Stuff like that. So you got some powerful demons in here. So you're kind of doing the Aristocrats theme, right? You're sacking things, bringing things back, doing some damage on the way. For instance, this deck also, oops, wrong pile. This deck also has some of those Aristocrats like Cruel Celebrant, which kind of like Elas il-Kor. When this or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So you kind of want to do some damage there. We have some Zolpor Cutthroat to do some damage. We don't, unfortunately, because we have 30 of the same card, deck space is very limited. So that is one problem with the Athreos deck, is I found switching cards in and out is extremely difficult because you have 30 of these that cannot move. You have these demons that are so good, it's very hard to find another demon to unseat these demons. You want to add more of these effects, but you can't because you got to take away demons. You need to have some interactions, like, Anguish Unmaking. You got some, maybe like Demonic Tutor, Smothering Tides. You got ramps. So it's kind of hard to, like, move things around this deck. So it's one of the problems I had with this deck. I've had this for a long time, like 4 years. It's hard to upgrade, and it's just hard to move things around. But the cool part is you get to play, you get to break the one of Singleton, play those, and you get to play cards that are just not really seen a lot. Like these cards. Echoing Return, return target creature card and all other cards with the same name from graveyard to hand. So that's pretty neat. And you definitely can't do that with anything else. Relentless Rats or whatever, but usually this is never an EDH card, but in this case it is. Then you have Secret Salvage, exile target non-land card from your graveyard. Search your library for any number of those cards with the same name as that card, reveal them, put them onto your hand. So that's cool. You get to exile one of these, you get all the rest of them in your hand. And then Remembrance. When a non-token creature you control dies, you may search your library for a copy of that creature card. If you do, reveal that card, put it in your hand, and shuffle. So these are cool cards that you could do. I have some pet cards in this deck, like Liliana's Contract. See, this is one of the issues I run into with space, is like, if I really wanted to have a more competitive deck, I would remove this pet card. But the pet card is so cool, and I just really wanted to do it. I've never done it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. So it's a pet card. It does let you draw 4 cards. You lose 4 life. It's pretty neat. You have Cleric Tribal here with Edgewalker. Lets you pay 1 white or black less. So essentially these are free with Edgewalker. And if you do Remembrance, you sack 1, you get 1 play for free. And you can do all the crazy loops with this. You get things back from the graveyard. Angel of Glory's Rise. Return all humans. You got some sack outlets here. Card draw with Skull Clamp. You can clamp these guys a bunch. Do Remembrance, Echo and Return them all. So you got some cool things to do with this deck. Sack Outlet, Phyrexian Arena. I think Phyrexian Arena and Remembrance are like a combo to get all these in your graveyard. Dictate Erebos. It's a really nasty, card, makes everybody sack a creature. So essentially the goal is to get 6 of these, sack it, find a demon, use that demon, maybe like Runescar Demon to get a Demonic Tutor in there. Razcaf is a sack outlet right there. Get a demon to be able to do the loop over and over again by getting Echoing Return, Secret Salvage, your commander, get things back, and just slowly drain their life down via Athreos. These Aristocrats, the drain cards, Cruel Celebrant, Zolpor Cutthroat. Actually, Elas il-Kor fits right in the deck as well. And is on theme because it's a cleric. So this is free with Edgewalker, FYI. That's a summary of the Shadowborn Apostle Athreos deck. Let me move these cards off screen here. And then let's just bring in our other competitor, which will fill our Orzhov slot, or possibly, if you vote for it, Elas il-Kor. And this is a true Aristocrats type thing. I mean, they're both kind of doing the same thing, sack creatures, drain life. This is truly a commander that wants to win via 1,000 cuts. So let's actually see all these cards that we could use with Elas il-Kor. Blood Artist, Zolpor Cutthroat, Cruel Celibate. So the same cards that we saw in the Athreos build. Except for we can add a lot more because we have tons of room, right? Suture Priest, Corpse Knight, Marauding Blight Priest, Relic Vow, Bastion of Remembrance, the Meat Hook Massacre. So as you can see, we have 10 of these effects-ish. Marauding Blight Priest doesn't do it alone because it's, whenever you gain life, each month loses life. But if you have Elas il-Kor on the board, this works with actually any of these because these all gain life and lose life. So essentially what we want to do is increase our life total while decreasing our opponent's life totals. These are similar effects. Unfortunately, none of them do the exact same thing. It is very annoying to try to figure out what does what. When a trigger happens, and so you have like these 4 on the board, you're like, okay, when a creature comes into play, what happens? When a creature leaves play, what happens? This one does all opponents. This one does target opponents. This one's my own creatures. This one's any creature. So you just gotta remember all your triggers. But essentially, these are the gain and drain cards. And our overall goal is to use these creatures and sacrifice. Well, these aren't creatures, but you know what I'm saying. Use these permanents to assist in draining slowly. Sacrifice a bunch of permanents, get them back, drain again, and then your opponents didn't know what happened to their life totals because we just slowly drained them. Even with board wipe protection, right here, these two, or any of them, somebody board wipes you, you can just drain them for a bunch, and then eventually try to get these pieces back on your battlefield. Then we have these sack outlets to help you sacrifice these creatures, because the other deck, the Shadowborn Apostles, sacrifice themselves, but here your creatures don't sacrifice themselves. Well, some of them do. We have some sack outlets as in Viscera Seer, Karen Feeder, Flesh Taker, Priest of Forgotten Gods, Woe Strider, Yawgmoth, Diabolic Intent, and Plum the Forbidden. So these are some of the sack outlets there to help you sack creatures. Like the cool thing is, like, I've had a bunch of Aristocrats or these drainers on the board. I sacrifice them all at once for Plum the Forbidden. They all trigger each other because additional costs to cast this spell. You may sacrifice one of the more creatures. When you do, copy the spell for each creature sacrificed this way. So sack everything. A Yawgmoth, you can do sack, draw a card, sack some scrying right here. Flesh Taker, you can sack a creature, make it bigger. So these sack outlets, it helps us do some gain and drain. And this deck also has tons of tokens, token generators. So we have tons of little different tokens that apply in this deck, like lots of them actually, almost as much as a token deck, that you can just essentially generate tokens, sack those things to these guys. These things don't require mana, which is really good. These are spells. This sacrifices 2 at a time. So you can sacrifice this creature, sacrifice your tokens, slowly grind value, gain life, keep yourself above, lethal. And while drawing cards for the matter too, like Plum the Forbidden, we have some cards that let you draw cards. Our tokens are small tokens, so Skull Clamp works really well. Then you have when creatures die, more of an opportunist, Grim Horspex, Midnight Reaper. So draw a card there. Then you have back to Plum the Forbidden, good card draw as well. Then we just, incrementally and slowly gain value, gain card draw, drain them, then win. And the problem is I like both the decks. So I'm undecided. I've played this a couple times. I love how you can do all these things, and I love having extra slots in the deck. It's super fun. Because sometimes you get choked on Shadowborn Apostles, you get 5, and then you're just like, oh, I can't find the 6th one, and I can't find any tutor to get it. So that happens sometimes. Except for this deck always has things to do because your commander it's easy to cast. You play a lot of things. I have more card draw than what I showed. I will do a deck tech on Elas il-Kor. Even if he loses and I keep Athreos, I'll still do a deck tech because I think it's really fun. So we have this right here. We got Athreos versus Elas il-Kor. Let's put the other Athreos because it's easier to see. Tell me in the comments, what do you think should be my permanent Orzhov deck, and then why? Because I really want to know. And you know what? Whatever the viewers think, I will keep. So it's not even my decision. I leave decisions in your hands. I'm gonna keep my comments open for end of 2022. So essentially, if you vote before 2023, then it's in. Anything after 2023, we've moved on. Okay, so definitely leave your responses in the comments. Tell me which one you would vote for. I'm very undecided. I don't know. I actually have the 2 decks built. Yes, I could keep the 2 decks, but remember, one of every deck. After I get all 32 decks, I might come back and make another 32, which would be kind of crazy having 64 decks. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. And as always, have a wonderful day. And don't forget those affiliate links.